Let's get started with our first news. Paddy Pimblett reacts to Ilia's recent comments. Yesterday, Ilia held his infamous press conference in Spain, where he discussed his potential plans for the future. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. During the press conference, Ilia responded to the rumors about him headlining the first Paramount card by saying, "It's very possible." When asked about potential opponents, Ilia said, "3 people I'd like to fight. Definitely Paddy, as we have history. I think that's the fight everyone wants to see." He added, "And I think you all want me to do that thing that I can't say out loud here." The second name he mentioned was Islam. And for the third one, he said, "I don't know. Anyone can get it." Well, it looks like Paddy saw those comments because he quickly reacted on social media. He posted a picture of himself shrugging with a caption that read, "Why hasn't Paddy signed the contract yet?" Clearly, Paddy isn't backing down from the challenge. Fans immediately started flooding the comments, hyping up the potential matchup between the two rivals. The rivalry between Ilia and Paddy has been brewing for years, and fans have been waiting to see these two finally settle their differences inside the octagon. Ilia's rise to stardom and Paddy's massive fan base make this one of the most anticipated matchups in recent memory. If this fight actually headlines the first Paramount card, it could be one of the biggest events of the year. Meanwhile, questions still remain about what this means for Justin Gaethje, who previously said he would either fight for the belt next or retire. With all the moving parts in the division, it's going to be interesting to see how the UFC books these matchups. But one thing's for sure, Ilia and Paddy's feud is heating up fast, and fans can't wait to see what happens next. Let's move on to another news. Dana White goes off on what he calls a lunatic promoter. In a recent interview, Dana didn't hold back as he unleashed on boxing promoter Eddie Hearn. If you remember, Hearn had some pretty harsh words about Dana not too long ago, criticizing the boxing match Dana promoted between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Well, it looks like Dana has finally had enough of the talk and decided to fire back, hard. During an episode of the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast, Dana was asked about Hearn's comments, and he completely went off. Dana said, "It's fascinating. Eddie Hearn all of a sudden is acting like a lunatic. You know what he sounds like to me? He sounds like he's reading a WWE script." Dana continued, "I've known Eddie for a while, and this isn't his personality. But when you hear somebody like Eddie talk, it reminds me of a career politician. He's acting like he's running for election now, saying, 'We're going to do this, we're going to do that.' Where were you the last 20 years? You didn't do any of that." Dana went on to say that promoters like Hearn never thought big before. All of a sudden now, Eddie's going to change boxing. He's going to fix it, and he's going to compete with me. He's going to do all this crazy stuff, Dana said, clearly mocking him. "I don't even think about those guys, what they're doing or how they're doing it." He then laughed while pointing out one of Hearn's recent statements. Eddie said, "He didn't come up with this fight. He didn't create Canelo." Yeah, no Sherlock. Where have you ever seen me running around saying I came up with the idea of Canelo versus Crawford? I never said that. Dana made it clear that Hearn's comments were not only wrong, but completely delusional. He added, "Somebody is writing him a WWE script because he just sounds ridiculous. He's trying to sound dramatic, but it's embarrassing." Dana didn't stop there. He continued with even more fire, saying, "You're not going to do jack. You're not going to fix boxing. You're not going to compete with me. You're just talking." The UFC boss has never been shy about his opinions, and once again, he made it crystal clear that he's not backing down from anyone, especially not from a boxing promoter trying to make headlines. Dana's message was simple. Talk all you want, but action speaks louder than words, and in his eyes, Eddie Hearn is all talk and no results. Let's move on to another news. Khamzat didn't hold back when reacting to the UFC Vancouver main event. The UFC middleweight champion took aim at RDR, accusing the Dutch fighter of quitting against Brendan Allen. Khamzat wrote on social media, "This guy give up." That short but powerful statement immediately went viral, and fans started flooding the comments with their own reactions to RDR's disappointing performance. Many fighters also chimed in, giving their honest takes on what went down inside the octagon. Jamahal Hill posted a video right after the fight shouting, "Let's go! He broke him. He broke him. He broke him. He ain't coming out. He ain't answering the bell. Let's go." Hill's reaction clearly showed how shocked and fired up he was to see RDR not return for the next round. Baralho wrote, "Did RDR get injured in the fight, or did he just give up?" Real question, guys, Nasser Dinamov added. "Knew it," while Marvin Vittori took a much harsher approach, saying RDR is a pussy. Dylan Dennis also jumped in, writing, "Number 4 ranked contender couldn't even stand against Brendan Allen off the stool. There are levels to this." I told everyone, but no one wanted to listen. Kelvin Gastelum wasn't impressed either, saying, "Nothing special so far by either of these two." Paulo Costa made things a bit lighter, joking, "If I knew it would only last 4 rounds, I would have gone for it, lol." Terrence McKinney kept it blunt, writing, "I guess when you're done, you're done. LMFAO." And Thiago Moises summed it up with a sharp message. "You can't win with just grappling. You gotta do damage!" The backlash didn't stop there. Fans online were quick to criticize RDR for what they called a lack of heart, while others defended him, saying he may have suffered an undisclosed injury that prevented him from continuing. Still, the narrative spreading across the MMA community was that RDR simply gave up, something that doesn't sit well in the world of combat sports. As for Khamzat, his reaction just added more fire to the already heated discussions online. Known for his aggressive fighting style and ruthless mentality, it's no surprise he called it exactly how he saw it, without filters. One thing's for sure, RDR's performance in Vancouver has become one of the most talked about moments of the week, and the criticism from fighters like Khamzat will only make it harder for him to shake off this loss anytime soon. Let's move on to another news. Anthony Hernandez has finally responded to Sean Strickland's recent call-out. It's still unclear who Hernandez will face next after being forced to withdraw from UFC Vancouver due to injury, but the surging middleweight made it clear that he's more than willing to face Strickland. Kind of. Hernandez was originally scheduled to face RDR in the main event of the Vancouver card, but an unfortunate injury pushed him to the sidelines. Riding an impressive 8-fight winning streak, many believed a dominant victory over RDR could have earned him a potential title shot. However, with that fight now off the table, new matchups are being discussed, and Strickland seems eager to make something happen. In a recent interview with MMA Junkie, Strickland said he wants to fight Hernandez next. He also took several playful jabs at Hernandez's grappling-heavy approach, calling him the American Khamzat. Those comments didn't go unnoticed, and Hernandez addressed them during an episode of the Weigh-In podcast. Hernandez laughed off Strickland's words, saying, "Sean's funny. He's wild. He's always saying crazy stuff. That's just who he is as a person. But I get it. If he wants to fight me, then run it. I don't give a damn. But honestly, I'd like to fight Duplessis because that fight gets me to the belt guaranteed." He went on to explain that both fights, against Strickland or Duplessis, would be massive. Either way, both fights get me closer to the title. So I really don't care. Whoever the matchmakers call me for, I'm going to sign the waiver and run it. Both fights would be fun, both would be bloody, and both would make us a lot of money. Hernandez also shared why he slightly favors a fight with Duplessis. "I'd like to fight DDP because he's done a lot of good as a champion. He's beaten a lot of big-name guys. So, I think if you beat him, it means something. You're taking out a proven champion." Some fans argue Hernandez wants Duplessis because he struggled with Khamzat's wrestling and top game in the past. But it's also true that Duplessis is currently ranked number 1 and has lost just once since 2018. He's also defeated Strickland twice, making a win over him even more valuable for Hernandez's career. Whatever happens next, it's clear Hernandez is ready to return and make a statement in the middleweight division. Let's move on to another news. Brendan Allen has made a bold statement following his shocking victory over RDR at UFC Vancouver. The Dutch fighter stunned the MMA world by quitting on the stool in what was supposed to be a title eliminator bout. Many fans expected RDR to have a relatively easy night, but after a dominant first round where he looked composed and in control, everything flipped. Allen began out-grappling him, found his rhythm, and started to overwhelm him from the top. By the end of the third round, RDR looked completely spent, and the exhaustion on his face was undeniable. Having been through wars before, RDR had always shown toughness and composure, but this time, he simply couldn't continue. Allen celebrated one of the biggest wins of his career and didn't waste any time calling his shot. In a post-fight interview with MMA Junkie, he called out the champion Khamzat Chimaev, vowing to dethrone him if given the chance. He also mentioned that if that fight doesn't happen, he's ready to face Duplessis. Confident that he and his team can compete with the best middleweights in the world, including Khamzat. When asked about a potential matchup with Khamzat, Allen remained confident and calm. "You know, Khamzat and his grappling and everything, stylistically, I think I have a great outlook for that fight whenever it happens. I speak grappling fluently and my jiu-jitsu is really strong. I also have the best minds and the best team to help me prepare. No matter what, we'll be ready. Full camp for sure. I'm ready for anyone in the world. Allen broke down his strategy against RDR, emphasizing patience and composure. I was just trying to be smart. I knew if I got him down again, I was going to get him off. He couldn't keep that pressure, squeezing so hard in the first round for more than 2 rounds, let alone 5. I stayed smart, stayed composed. I can handle 25 minutes of grappling, no problem. I moved a little, analyzed his movements, and kept calculating. That's how I approached it. With this victory, Allen has firmly placed himself in the conversation for a title shot. His performance against RDR not only showcased his grappling mastery, but also proved his patience, intelligence, and ability to remain composed under pressure. Calling out Khamzat and leaving Plessis as another option signals that Allen is ready to challenge the very top of the middleweight division and make his mark as one of the sport's most formidable contenders. Let's move on to another news. Dana White and Khamzat Chimaev have weighed in on RDR's shocking loss to Brendan Allen, and the MMA world hasn't stopped talking about it. After RDR's disappointing showing, fans and pundits alike labeled him a quitter, questioning his toughness and composure. Khamzat even jumped on Twitter, calling RDR a BS guy who simply gave up. RDR was supposed to be the contender to challenge Khamzat's dominance at middleweight, but after that performance, all the hype surrounding him has completely evaporated. Many began to speculate about what Khamzat would have done had he actually faced RDR, and the thought alone sent shockwaves through the MMA community. In a recent interview, Dana White chimed in as well, praising Allen's performance while openly criticizing RDR for delivering an underwhelming result. Dana pointed out that the fight had potential, but you need 2 fighters ready to go, and RDR simply looked slow, got out-wrestled, and struggled to deal with Allen's speed and pressure. Allen's victory has now catapulted him into the top 5 of the middleweight division, and one more big win could put him firmly in the title conversation, although the path remains brutally competitive. The division is stacked, and even with RDR's stumble, challengers like Nassourdine Imavov, Strickland, and Khamzat himself keep the championship picture intense and unpredictable. The reactions from other fighters and fans have been just as sharp. Iv reacted with a simple, "Knew it," while Caio Baralho questioned, "Did RDR get injured in the fight or did he just give up?" Real question, guys, Paulo Costa joked. "If I knew it would only last 4 rounds, I would go for it." And Marvin Vettori didn't hold back, saying, "Deritor is a pussy." The conversation online has been a mix of shock, criticism, and excitement over what this means for the middleweight division. Dana's and Khamzat's reactions reinforced the narrative that RDR's performance was a major setback in his career, while Allen's win solidified his rise as a serious contender. Fans are now looking ahead, analyzing matchups and predicting who will challenge for the belt next, and the buzz continues to grow. This loss for RDR marks a pivotal moment in his career, and the eyes of the MMA world are firmly on him to see if he can bounce back. Meanwhile, Brendan Allen's stock has never been higher, and both Dana White and Khamzat made it clear that the middleweight division is as competitive as ever, with no room for hesitation or half measures. Let's move on to another news. With just 10 days to go until UFC 321, the card has received an exciting late addition in the heavyweight division. On October 25th, Tom Aspinall will face Ciryl Gane in a highly anticipated heavyweight title fight, a matchup that could mark the beginning of a new era for the division. Fans are buzzing with excitement, and the main event promises to deliver some explosive action as both fighters look to cement their place among the elite heavyweights in the world. In addition to the headline bout, UFC 321 will feature several other key matchups in the heavyweight division. One of the most notable is the main card clash between Alexander Volkov and Jailton Almeida, which is expected to serve as a title eliminator given their current rankings and impressive performances leading up to this event. Both fighters are coming off strong wins and will be looking to make a major statement in front of the UFC. Brazilian reporter Laert Viana has now confirmed that another heavyweight bout has been added to the card on short notice due to recent fight cancellations. Valter Walker and Scottish heavyweight Louis Sutherland will now face each other on October 25th, after both missed out on previous opportunities. Valter Walker was reportedly furious with Muhammad Usman after losing the chance to compete in front of his home fans at UFC Rio this past weekend. Meanwhile, Louis Sutherland's octagon debut was delayed after his scheduled opponent in Perth. Justin Tafa ran into issues with his weight cut. Viana revealed on X that after missing out on big opportunities in recent weeks, Walker and Sutherland will now finally get their chance to compete. This matchup adds even more depth to an already stacked UFC 321 card and gives both fighters an opportunity to make a statement in the heavyweight division. Fans can expect a highly competitive and entertaining bout as both men look to prove themselves and climb the ranks. With the main event featuring Aspinall and GANE, the Volkov vs. Almeida fight serving as a title eliminator, and the Walker vs. Sutherland bout added late, UFC 321 is shaping up to be one of the most exciting cards of the year. The heavyweight division continues to grow in depth and talent, and this event will showcase some of the top contenders making their moves toward title contention. The stakes are high, and fans are guaranteed an action-packed night of MMA.